Happy Tuesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, November 21st, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today is Ace of Cups. In its reversal, the need for self-care today is key, okay? There's a habit or a habitation today potentially of overpouring time, effort, energy into things and not potentially getting it back in kind. Making sure to take that time right now to restore oneself, to make sure that you're filling your own cup is going to be very important. Now, masculine and feminine energy that are in divine union and partnership, this could be a moment that, again, you are potentially feeling a little bit of this point of exhaustion. We're potentially seeing this point of exhaustion having different impacts on those energies. One of the things that we saw that was potentially happening yesterday, and I warned you guys about not letting yourself get triggered, even if you were in divine union and partnership yesterday, was the fact that we see feminine energy may have been feeling a little put out by masculine, because we're almost seeing that the masculine was moving more in like that recreational vibration yesterday in divine union and divine partnership, which may effectively have left the feminine feeling like they had to pick up some of the slack. While feminine right now may be in a place or a space where they're feeling like they need that same level of nurturing and care and support that the masculine may have needed yesterday. So for both energies right now, there could be this moment of shared exhaustion or shared spiritual and emotional exhaustion. I have to say though, this is almost allowing that space or degree of really trying to have some time to take back to yourself, to be able to come into a more of a point of self-care and restoration. I'm also bringing up, I even brought up yesterday that if anyone had any issues as it relates to unhealthy coping mechanisms, this is something that has to be kind of struggled with or worked through potentially yesterday into today. While masculine and feminine energy right now that are working on divine union and divine partnership, this is that feeling of overwhelm, and it potentially is expressing itself in that sense or that space. And I have to stress here, you got to be very careful right now, especially if you're trying to come into divine union and partnership, in regulating your emotions. Why are we seeing this right now? Because literally we saw yesterday, masculine energy was trying to move towards feminine. If this is still, I'm even going to say a lot of energy potentially went back into separation yesterday, right? Because this was a moment that we saw that masculine energy had to push through their own anxiety. They had to push through their own fear. They had to push through the biggest hurdle for the masculine energy to experience, which is like the hurdle of the self and one's own fears, to come towards the feminine. And this could be a moment right now where, again, if this is something that occurred, masculine may have immediately experience from feminine an overwhelming surge of emotionality, because this was the feminine energy that like literally was standing back. They were holding themselves back. Feminine was like literally holding themselves back from moving towards masculine, because feminine needed to see masculine take the first step in this, show that ability or that capacity to do this. And this is feminine that's almost feeling like this I even described this yesterday, that if the feminine saw masculine take even the smallest step in this direction, this was almost feminine feeling like this overabundance of emotionality, this wash of relief. It was going to feel like a typhoon, because this is feminine going, thank God, this energy showing me that they can do it. And it's almost feminine immediately recalibrating and just giving everything to masculine at that time. That's a feminine, again, feminine's gift or ability to overgive. This is like feminine getting that green light that a masculine's learning enough from the lesson right now that they can just whoosh, go towards them. One of the things to be not mindful for feminine energy is this may feel like a little bit overwhelming for a masculine that's experiencing this right now, because again, we are still seeing the fact that the masculine energy is in this vibration that they have a harder time handling the influx of emotionality. But again, it's almost the feminine energy trying to support the masculine, especially if this is a masculine that has articulated to feminine their own fears in relation to expressing their emotionality. And this is feminine almost like being like, that's okay, just please do that. Please just share it. Please share everything with me. Tell me everything you're feeling. I want to know all of it, right? Masculine, that if you're trying to move in partnership with feminine right now, it could feel a little overwhelming today. because it almost is going to feel like a bit of feast and famine that's potentially happening today, because this could have been a feminine energy that feels like it was pulling back and pulling back and pulling back. Not if you're not cognizant of the fact that they were pulling back because you were pulling back, then this is now potentially feeling like the feminine energy is like very much like back in, almost like to an astounding degree, because you've given them that sign, you've given them that indication. And for masculine, this could also be feeling like that overwhelming feeling of emotionality, which again could either be a positive or a negative, because this is almost a feminine energy that's trying to like articulate in every way, shape, or form how much they care about you, how much they support you, how much they want to be with you. For some masculine energy, if you're not as good as experiencing this, if finding that point of accepting this kind of energy towards you, this may even feel like a little bit difficult to accept because it may feel overwhelming. Second, masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. This is feminine energy feeling that feminine energy is feeling an influx, an overwhelm of emotionality today. Feminine energy is prepare for it. If you're in separation, this is going to feel like an outpouring. For feminine energy in separation, it's going to be more about where to put it. It's going to be about where to put it, because again, this is a feminine energy. I told you we've got that burning heart coming through on this. We've got that burning heart energy of feminine feeling like, again, it's not the fact that they don't carry passion or fire towards masculine. It's that they need to take that fire and bring it forward to spaces and places that need it, the spaces and places that appreciate the gift of that fire. This is feminine energy feeling that sense of overwhelm in this moment, because this is almost a feminine energy that's feeling that point of exhaustion in feeling so much and not necessarily having the space or place to offer that, because we do see that there is a lot of masculine energy, potentially even towards feminine energy in separation right now, that's trying to move towards feminine. This is almost feminine energy, like feeling that sense of overwhelm, because it's feeling like a lot in one place and completely arid land in the other, right? This is almost feeling right now for the feminine energy in separation, especially because we see that the masculine's gravitating to feminine at this time, that this can almost feel like the feminine energy's almost got like two plots of land, right? And one plot of land is like all the water possible. It's got all of the water in it, whereas the other one is completely fallow. It's dry as a bone. And this is almost a moment for feminine that feels like that sense of overwhelm is potentially even characterized by a feeling of frustration and being like, why is everything coming into this space and not that one? And that in itself almost creates a sense of like potential, feeling of abundance, but almost the frustration in the abundance. Masculine and feminine, masculine energy in separation right now. This is potentially you going through a moment that feels like a lot of emotional or spiritual overwhelm. And depending on how you carry this, depends on how this is going to be navigated, because this is something right now, and I have to stress right now, again, any energy that has any issues as it relates to unhealthy coping mechanisms, I want you to be very cautious yesterday and today in making sure that you find that point of balance, okay? Because for masculine energy right now, this is this feeling. And again, it's some of that persecution energy that was potentially rising up for some of the masculine energy in separation yesterday, about feeling almost coming into a spade or place of just like embodying this sense that no one is there to care for you, that nobody is there that has your support. But the better question to ask right now is, are you giving that same support in kind? Are you putting out right now what you're expecting to get in? Because there could be a moment right now of observation of masculine. Again, this is masculine energy that's learning the lesson, even in separation. There is a moment right now where masculine is feeling like there is this space or place where you're feeling a lot of emotionality right now, and you're recognizing that some of the difficulty is you don't have anywhere to put it. Feminine energy right now is almost holding a bit of distance right now. Masculine energy, even if you're trying to go towards some positive karmic energies for support or advice right now, what you're getting back from them might not necessarily be exactly that sense of like camaraderie or support that you were anticipating. Rather, it may be coming through in the point of trying to give you some point of observation in some things that they see that they think you might require some adjustment on because you asked. And this is almost a moment for masculine that is potentially feeling a little bit emotionally or spiritually exhaustive and draining, because again, you're trying to carry and do all this work on your own, but not recognizing that this isn't a one-sided situation or perspective. You could be recognizing right now that you're potentially almost asking a lot of energy to feed into you without the promise or assurance that it's coming back in kind. Continuing to get clarification on these cards. Second card in our 5-card spread for today is the Sun in its reversal. Guys, self-care is key today. Self-care is key. Even masculine and feminine energy in partnership, we see here, it is a moment of experiencing some feelings of like some of this energy that we're seeing here is feeling like a moment that is feeling like it is getting down in your emotional space. This is almost some feelings of melancholia potentially rising up today. And I really need to stress that if you're going through any feelings of melancholia right now, I want you to really ask yourself if there's something that you could be doing different or better to support yourself in this way. Masculine and feminine energy right now in partnership, this may be feeling like that joint work that you're doing right now to really be able to support each other in this capacity, really allowing this point right now in looking and seeing what you might need to adjust, what you might need to change to allow for some of this to come back into a space or place of positivity or optimism at this point. Well, and for a lot of this, we're even seeing for the energy in partnership right now, this is almost that feeling of having to like pour into one another, but not necessarily feeling like you're getting back what you need in kind. So there is this point that may be hit. And I need to stress, this may be some of that point right now. If some of the energy yesterday, remember I even mentioned, even in divine union, there was some possibility of triggers getting hit yesterday. This could be an indication of some of those triggers being hit in divine union and divine partnership yesterday, because again, I did warn the fact that we saw that there were some childhood wounds that were rising to the surface that needed to be addressed with empathy and care instead of hitting each other's triggers and further amplifying the wound itself. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now that is moving into divine union or trying to maintain that, trying to come into the divine union vibration, what we are effectively seeing at this time is a moment that, again, it feels like it's almost a moment of personal catharsis. It's going to feel like some heavy energy today. Why are we seeing this? Because again, this is a feminine energy that is trying to bear a masculine, that they're recognizing that their ability to come towards the feminine in this way is positive. But what they're expressing to the feminine is something that is hard for the feminine to bear, because this is almost a feminine that is seeing the masculine saying to them that something that the feminine energy brought forth is creating this space or place of difficulty. It's creating this space or place of challenge. Feminine does not like to feel like they are creating a burden for the companionate energy. So this is almost a feminine energy that is feeling, and again, this is almost feminine energy if this is the situation in terms of feminine having given masculine something with the best of intentions, and instead it is creating a space or place of difficulty for the masculine. This is almost feminine energy expressing their profound sorrow to masculine in this degree or in this capacity, trying to articulate to the masculine energy and saying, I never wanted you to feel that way. I never wanted you to feel that way. I never wanted to create that feeling of overwhelm in you. And this could be a moment of, again, joint catharsis and sadness in that, because this, again, if the energy is in partnership right now, this is almost feeling like a space and place of having to have a lot of like sadness that is being expressed, but allowing that to be, that expression to almost be a way of depressurizing a situation in terms of articulating what you need to do to go forward from a state or space of improvement and positivity. Because masculine is basically saying, like, what you told me was difficult. What you told me created that hurdle. What you told me created that point of sadness. And this is feminine almost immediately saying to them, I did not intend to create that sadness by telling you that. I did not intend to create that. It pains me, because feminine was almost trying to say, I was just trying to tell you how I feel. I was just trying to be open with you. I was just trying to be articulate. And this is, again, that feeling of mutual sorrow that's potentially needing to be carried out right now to allow for the productivity of the partnership going forward. Other parts of the partnership right now, this is the breaking off into separation again. Because this could potentially be a moment of one energy or another saying to the other person, what you've given me is too overwhelming. What you've given me is too much. It's created too much of a space or place where I am emotionally or spiritually exhausted, and I don't see any ability of that coming back into balance. So for some of the energy, masculine or feminine right now, there's still a very big potential of potentially moving back into separation in this modality, specifically because this could be a moment of having to articulate and say that whatever that is, it doesn't indicate a lack of care on the other person. It's almost creating this feeling of overwhelm to such an extent that someone doesn't see a way to get over that feeling of overwhelm. For feminine experiencing this right now, this could be the articulation of feminine to masculine. If this is a masculine that pulled away, almost amplifying to feminine and saying, you don't give me enough to be able to work with. I need to walk away from this. While for the other part of the masculine right now, this could be masculine potentially separating from feminine, saying, what you gave me is too overwhelming to bear, and I can't go forward in this. Masculine and feminine separation right now, again, this is why I'm saying for both energies right now, that need for self-care is very key, because this is feminine energy, feeling that bittersweet moment in separation right now, potentially seeing a lot of areas in your life where there's a lot of abundance, there's a lot of care, there's a lot of empathy, potentially even new partnership possibilities. Everything is getting poured in those areas, but it's a frustration point, as I said, of seeing another area where you want that energy, where you want that love, where you want that compassion, kind of going completely fallow. And for the feminine energy, that's that moving forward with the sacred heart, because this is the feminine energy basically saying that need to go forward is not with a lack of love there. It's just carrying sadness with you as you go. Masculine energy in separation right now, this is that moment that is potentially creating a sense of personal potential crisis right now. Because a masculine energy in separation right now, there is again some of that potential feeling that's happening right now in feeling almost like a point of not getting, of having to take care of one's own self, of almost having to take care of one's own needs, or looking at things with optics and saying, I'm only doing this by myself. I always have to do things by myself, instead of asking the bigger question, which is the reason that you're doing things by yourself because you're not pouring into the cup of others. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our Page of Swords in its reversal. This is a continuation on some of the cards that we identified and recognized yesterday. What did we see in the cards yesterday? Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into play, even in partnership right now. This is more of that energy. Masculine, you're like on vacation this week. This is feeling like, this is like masculine energy. I just have to stress, it's going to feel a little less heavy for the energy in partnership at this moment, because this is just giving a lot of vibration of a masculine that's kind of like, they're like, they punched their card in earlier this week. They punched it in on the weekend, and they just haven't really kind of like come back in. More than anything right now, this could be a feeling of masculine, just feeling like there's not a lot to do right now. There's almost a masculine energy right now. And again, this is literally for masculine energy in partnership right now. This is literally a masculine energy that needs a hobby. This is masculine energy right now that's potentially looking right now for something to do. And it's a moment of, again, there's something about that listlessness, not necessarily seeing something to put your attention to right now, that's almost creating that space or place of masculine, not really being in a most positive mood today, simply because like they feel like a little bit like, I keep getting fallow field today. The term fallow field keeps coming up. This is masculine being like, there's nothing to do. Remember that childlike energy we saw yesterday? In partnership right now, in divine union, this is literally masculine energy, like stumbling around a garden going, there's nothing to do in this dumb garden. There's nothing to do here. Nobody's here to hang out with. I need something to do. Energetically right now is almost what we're seeing, the masculine energy in partnership. Or even like, again, we saw that masculine energy was trying to like find friends yesterday to connect with, in that sense of needing something to do. And this is almost feeling the frustration of being like, if whatever the friends were, whatever the social connections were that were potentially supposed to be happening yesterday, they're like not present here. This is almost a masculine energy being like, I miss my friends. Like, I want to be out with my friends. I want something to do. Feminine energy. This is a moment that we're seeing that if you're in partnership with masculine, you're seeing a masculine energy right now that might be in this vibration. Doesn't really seem like they have a lot to do, but you might kind of need this right now, because feminine energy, and this is why we see that this could be a little triggering. This could be a little triggering if this is feminine energy that was triggered yesterday by this, because we're effectively potentially identifying a feminine energy in this capacity that's like, remember what I said yesterday? Must be nice, right? This is either a feminine energy, I have to stress, this is like, and this is going to change everything. This is either feminine energy yesterday that was kind of like taking that like Donna Reed, like boys will be boys kind of mentality, or this is now a feminine energy potentially looking at masculine and being like, must be nice. So we want to make sure that we're handling things with empathy right now, because what we are seeing is feminine energy is also going through a moment that feels somewhat overwhelming. Feminine energy is at a point that they are also feeling some emotional or spiritual exhaustion point. But the problem and the worry point that we have to be noticeable of is the fact that we have to be very conscientious of the fact that we recognize that the feminine energy in this modality right now is almost coming into a space or place right now of recognizing that there's something here that they're feeling that the masculine energy can't necessarily help them with, right? That's almost like a moment of the masculine energy feeling like there is something here that the feminine is experiencing and the masculine can't necessarily help them with. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is moving into divine union or divine partnership at this time. What we are effectively identifying is the fact that we are recognizing here that for the energy trying to come into divine union or divine partnership at this time, this is a moment that we are effectively observing that is going to lead to that make or that break point. All right? Like literally going to lead to that make or break point, because masculine and feminine trying to come into partnership at this moment, this is that feeling of overexhaustion. But it's creating a sense of overexhaustion that is potentially the result of the other energy. This is why it's going to feel like such a challenging space, because for masculine and feminine energy trying to come into partnership at this moment, there is a point of masculine, even if they're trying to move towards feminine at this time, there's almost a moment that we're effectively seeing of the masculine having to say to the feminine, I don't know what to do here. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to fix what I am feeling, because this is the masculine that's effectively articulating to a feminine at this time that this is a moment that while they want to come into partnership, while they want that overall they want to be with this energy, there's something here about articulating how they feel right now that is almost the masculine is again what the feminine desires of masculine is saying, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix this. I'm feeling anxiety. I'm feeling fear. Feminine, if experiencing this right now and trying to come into partnership, is almost articulating to, and is also similarly feeling this right now. Because again, feminine is mirroring the masculine, because this is the feminine energy that's looking at the masculine and feeling much like the feminine in partnership, except it's a little bit different here. This is a feminine going, I can't help how you feel. I can't adjust this. There's nothing I can do. I can try to reassure you that I'm here to receive it. I'm here to experience this. I'm here to do everything I can. But again, you'll have to remember, this is a feminine energy standing in a point of stoicism. This is a masculine energy that is articulating to the feminine that something that the feminine expressed to them is hard to bear. And this is the feminine energy that's almost saying, I appreciate you telling me that it's hard to bear. But this is almost feminine saying, I can't tell you that I would do things differently, because this is almost a feminine energy that feels like to say like, I would do things differently would almost be a feminine energy, like almost saying to masculine, like, I just won't tell you the truth, or I just won't be my most authentic version of self. This is why we're seeing that this is coming through as almost like a point of mutual healing right now, right? That mutual healing that is coming through right now is being amplified and articulated in the sense of recognizing that both energies are holding grief, even and leaving. And again, the energies that are doing this properly, they're leaving space for that grief. They're leaving space. They're holding space for that. While the masculine and feminine energy is moving back into separation. Because again, this is almost a masculine energy that may potentially be saying to a feminine, I can't get over that. I can't let that go. There's nothing I can do to let that go. and maybe even masculine. And this is the important thing about some of the energy that's, if they're going to separation at this point, this is almost a masculine energy potentially saying to feminine, and I realize that this is a failure on my part. Feminine seeing this in separation right now, again, if you're just coming into separation, this is going to feel like very, very heavy, because this is almost a masculine energy. And you're feeling the unfairness of the situation or circumstance potentially. You're feeling the situation or circumstance being amplified in the sense that we're effectively recognizing here that this is a moment wherein masculine isn't able to rise to the challenge to protect the energy of the partnership, but instead is choosing their own self, is choosing their own fear, as opposed to that. And so this is potentially some very heavy energy to bear if you're coming into separation at this point. For the other part of the feminine energy and separation at this point, this is more of that energy that we're potentially seeing right now that feels like you're pouring a lot of energy into one space, but the other space that you're wanting it in is completely fallow. This is why even now it may be feeling like that point of frustration right now for feminine, because it's not the fact that there isn't some new energy or new opportunity coming towards you right now in separation. It's just a moment that you're not feeling extremely excited about it. It's not a moment that like your like heart is soaring. It's more of a moment that it's almost like amplifying. It's almost like the fact that an energy is giving forward in this fashion in one space is almost amplifying in the other space how deficit it is. But still we see that this is feminine energy moving forward with that burning heart and saying like persevering, almost like, and again, we appreciate this with this feminine energy that we're seeing. This is the feminine energy in separation that says, I'm going to continue to pour forward in this way. I'm going to continue to pour forward, because this is almost a feminine energy realizing and recognizing that they're trying to pour forward into the spaces and places where they know that possibility may grow, because this is feminine energy almost telling themselves in separation, I can emotionally change. Today I might not be feeling positive, but in time this is something that I can heal, because feminine is moving away from something that did not feel balanced. Masculine energy in separation right now, this is effectively what we are identifying is the moment. And again, I have to stress, for the masculine energy in separation right now, there's a lot of potential exhaustion coming into play. Making sure that you're putting a lot of care of the self into yourself right now is going to be very important, because this is masculine energy that's feeling a lot of spiritual or emotional exhaustion right now if in separation. Further, we are seeing right now that this is masculine energy if in separation right now, that again is feeling that weight of sadness, or feeling the sense of having to take care of one's own self, but also feeling some anxiety or fear as it relates to your path going forward today. So for the masculine energy in separation right now, I want to really stress that self-care is going to be really key today. Being able to recognize that this too shall pass, because there's almost a moment here that's like amplifying masculine's own need for self-care. And I'm going to say it again. If you have problems with coping mechanisms, I want you to be very conscientious of those today and make sure that you're taking a lot of care of yourself. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we like this. What is the masculine energy in separation doing right now to help them through any of these feelings of uncertainty, through any of these feelings of sadness, through any of these feelings right now that feel like you're in a point or situation that may articulate as personal crisis? Masculine energy is turning right now towards the healthy karmic energies that are around them. This is going to be friends. This is going to be family. This is going to be community. This is going to be any space or place that is helping you kind of get back on your feet to a certain degree, because emotionally, masculine energy and separation right now almost feels like they need something here to help support them, and it's coming from external outside energy. Masculine energy, one of the things that could even be happening right now if you're in this space or place, is feeling to a certain degree like you have this heavy reliance on outside energy right now for support or for giving you that emotional support. But, and this is where we see some of that potential healing that is coming in. Masculine energy and separation right now, you could be recognizing that something almost feels a little overbalanced or imbalanced right now in relation to what you're getting from others versus what yourself are bringing towards things right now. And this is almost amplifying this right now, because we're seeing here that this is a masculine energy that is experiencing or recognizing, if in separation, the fact that you feel like you're getting a lot from those around you, but there's not much that you feel like you can give forth at this time. This can almost be getting a lot of that amplification right now from the friends around you, or the friend, like, and almost I have to stress right now. I gotta stress right now, something about this could also be that further confirmation in what we just saw was potentially happening with some of the masculine energy and separation right now, and coming through, and the fact of recognizing that some of this energy may have received something, may have received some insight, may have received some notes that they asked for from positive energy right now. And it may be hard to take what they're giving you. This is what I said about the fact that the masculine energy right now, even with some of the energy that feels like it's positive and karmic right now, what you're receiving is hard to receive, because this is almost the feminine, this is almost the karmic energy around the masculine energy and separation right now, saying I'm not saying this to hurt you. I'm saying this so you can potentially correct for what looks like an overbalance or an imbalance here that needs to come into some point of balance. Feminine energy that's in separation right now, this is the feminine energy getting that support from the energy around them. This is the feminine energy turning and getting that support right now to help them navigate their own feelings in this modality or in this capacity. And again, I will even stress for the feminine energy, if you have issues right now with unhealthy coping mechanisms, I also want you to be very cognizant of that, because what we're effectively seeing at this time is, again, a feeling that could potentially be expressing as a sense of frustration and overwhelm. It's not that things aren't going well for feminine energy and separation. It is feeling the frustration of things going very well in certain areas, but not in the space and place that you truly wish that they had. Again, feminine energy moving forward right now with that sacred burning heart. That masculine and the energy right now of the karmic that is coming towards feminine in this capacity, this is almost them trying to create that supportive system for the feminine, almost helping them, reassuring them as they go forward from this point, giving them that sense of security, that the choices that they're making right now, the choices to support the self, are effectively potentially moving away from a masculine, and it's almost feeling like a grieving process, a masculine energy that feels like they did not have the confidence to meet feminine in terms of where they would ideally have desired them to. Masculine and feminine energy trying to come into partnership right now, this is effectively that moment that if you're continuing forward in partnership at this time, there is a feeling of mutual pain, even as you're continuing forward right now into divine union, because this is that moment of accountability in terms of masculine doing a lot of work and feeling like they're trying to healing what they're feeling, healing this fact that something about what the feminine gave them has brought this sense of sadness to them. Feminine, you are similarly experiencing this, because there's a moment that feels like you don't feel like you could have changed what you did or said, but at the same time, it hurts you to see the energy being so pained by what you brought to it. Masculine and feminine energy, even if coming in partnership right now, this could also be a moment that you are reaching out towards those around you right now, those supportive systems, to help you navigate in this capacity, to help you as you go through this. And this could be, again, getting that point, because this is, again, and this is the value and importance of the divine union and partnership right now. This is a moment that you are affirming to each other that even though something is difficult, even though something is hard, that first and foremost, you're doing everything you can to take care of one another, that you are effectively each other's priority going forward. And it is this a commitment in saying, in sharing this grief together, that is a moment that, again, potentially creates a sense and a deepening of the commitment through sharing mutual burdens, coming together during a moment of difficulty, personal crisis together, rather than falling apart. And that's that moment that we're effectively seeing is happening right now on the internal level as you bring and share this point of grief to one another. Masculine and feminine energy in divine union right now, this is that moment of giving each other as much support as possible as you go through some circumstances or situations right now that, again, feel like a bit of that emotional overwhelm. What we're potentially seeing right now is, again, feminine energy potentially feeling like they very much have to be in the caretaker role for some of the masculine energy right now, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. feminine potentially seeing a masculine that, and I feel like the hardest part for the feminine right now is potentially having to give masculine energy some point and guidance in terms of how to help, is what we're seeing. Because feminine is going through a moment right now that feels a little bit overwhelming. It almost creates this moment of sadness around the feminine. What's really important, again, and this is almost like the reversal that we see for the energy in divine union and partnership, is feminine not necessarily just holding this in on themselves to a certain extent, but instead really articulating to masculine energy in terms of what their needs are, what they can do to help. This could even be a feminine energy right now, almost recognizing that a masculine wants to find some way to help because the masculine has that desire or that need to put their energy into something right now. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today. And this could also be masculine energy right now. This is more of that continuation we're seeing right now about even the energy in partnership right now. There could be some, what did I say? This is where the needle threads itself right back in. There could be an energy right now of some energy right now in divine union and partnership of some outside energy, particularly potentially masculine energy, reaching out and articulating some need or desire for support at this time. Continuing to get clarification, fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is our 3 of Cups in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now that are in divine union and divine partnership. This is that moment that we're potentially seeing right now that's amplifying as it relates to this feeling. There's a lot of energy here of, again, masculine and feminine energy right now. This is really interesting because for the energy that's in divine union and divine partnership right now, a lot of this is almost expressing itself as a point of looking at some of the energy around you right now and amplifying and articulating if it feels like it is foundationally supportive, if it is strong, if it is creating those like healthy karmic energies around you. And the more that we see that like this refinement of that supportive energy around the karmic partnerships is happening right now, we almost see here that this is a moment of pushing away at the same time any energy that feels like it isn't coming towards you in that same modality. If it's coming towards you in a space or place that feels like it's more serving their own needs, serving their own desires, isn't like, coming from a space or place that feels like it is well-intentioned. So a lot of this potentially is this moment that we are effectively seeing, even for the divine union and divine partnership energy right now. And this is potentially, again, where we almost see some of this like full circle advice coming in, because there may be a moment right now, even for the divine union and partnership right now, where again, we see masculine has a little bit more free time right now. Feminine is feeling a little bit more overwhelmed. Feminine doesn't really like have this desire or degree to move into a space or place of recreation right now, which could potentially be a bit of a trigger point right now between the divine union partnership energies, because feminine is very focused on that feeling of overwhelm and self-care. Masculine is feeling like that is being inspired because they need somewhere to put their care and energy right now. For masculine, this could be almost, again, moving towards having more connectivity outside the partnership. But again, this could even come through right now as divine partnership energy, having to lend advice to some energy right now surrounding the divine union and partnership to help them navigate any problems that they are potentially experiencing as it relates to other partnerships in their life. Remember, this is almost a divine union energy coming into the role of teacher, coming into the role of setting an example, coming into the role of becoming the supportive energy right now for those around them. Masculine and feminine energy trying to come into divine union and partnership right now. What we are effectively seeing is, again, this moment that the stress factor is coming from each other. It is a moment of having to come into a state or place of healing. And it is not the fact that we are seeing that both energies aren't holding some modicum of grief here. There is sadness that is being expressed, but the important and valuable thing about that sadness that we are effectively seeing at this time is the fact that masculine did not run away from that sadness. Masculine did not run in the opposite direction of the divine union or partnership. Masculine ran towards the partnership. Masculine, if still moving into divine union right now, has effectively expressed to feminine the fact that they are going through something that is difficult to bear, but they are still committed to the partnership. And that's how the divine union energy is proceeding forward at this time. And this is why it's going to feel bittersweet, because for the energy that is proceeding forward into divine union right now, this is masculine energy that is affirming to feminine and saying, regardless of how I'm feeling, I want you to understand I'm not going anywhere and I don't want anybody else. That is the affirmation that the masculine is giving to the feminine at this moment. And this is what is helping persevere and persist the partnership, because this is the feminine that is getting that example from a masculine in the fact that they brought the pain towards them so feminine could heal it. Feminine is immediately mirroring the masculine in that capacity and saying, I also don't want you to feel like this. I'm sorry that you're feeling like this, and I always choose you. I want to choose this, and I also don't want anything else beyond what we have. This is that moment of, again, it is the amplification of the partnership through a point of shared grief that is further confirming the fact that this is moving into the divine union vibration. For other energy today, this is potentially a moment that may be creating a bit of a cutoff point. I'm actually seeing that more of that cutoff point probably happened yesterday. If that was going to happen, it probably happened yesterday, because this potentially could be, if anything right now, potentially masculine going towards feminine if they've made this decision and articulating that something that the feminine brought to them is not something that the masculine feels like they can get over. And this is almost a moment right now of, again, that being masculine and feminine moving back into separation. Now, feminine and masculine in separation right now, this is why we see that this is so difficult right now for the feminine energy potentially in separation, because what we are really identifying at this moment for feminine energy in separation at this time is a feeling of, again, it's not the fact that there isn't new energy around the feminine. It's not the fact that there isn't a lot of that energy around the feminine right now. It's the fact that the feminine energy, while they may be feeling a lot of that love or that energy towards that, it's the feminine energy not being necessarily feeling that same sense of joy or positivity from it, because this is the feminine energy moving forward with the burning heart. This is the feminine energy that, again, has that situation or circumstance that they need to move away from right now, feeling and recognizing that, again, it's not a space or place that the feminine didn't desire for something positive to happen. This is the feminine energy that potentially desired for a productive union here, but ultimately recognizing that masculine energy was not in the same space or place of being ready for it, right? That's the feminine energy moving into the vibration of saying that they're not going to teach masculine any lessons right now. This is a moment of feminine needing to see a masculine that has mastered these gifts or hasn't, who recognizes how to come into this point of understanding the divine union balance or not. And this is feminine energy, again, getting a lot of support from the energy around them at this time, but also potentially, even though there may be a lot of interest moving towards feminine at this time, feminine sees the fact that there is a lot of abundance moving towards them at this time. It's more the fact that the feminine's just not in a space or place to be really feeling open to receiving it right now, because feminine's carrying so much of this sense of emotional or sadness or exhaustion, given the fact that, like, the one space or place that they desired to see it was not the one that it was expressing itself through. This is feminine almost like feeling the loss or the frustration of a masculine that is not yet ready. Feminine can embody and recognize and understand that to every degree and look at it with disappointment, but feminine is also having a moment that's creating a bit of listlessness as they continue forward at this point, recognizing that that is the case. Masculine energy right now in separation, this is potentially feeling like some heavy energy right now, because what's effectively happening is we're effectively seeing right now, masculine, that you're feeling potentially like you're carrying all of the burden of taking care of yourself on yourself right now, spiritually and emotionally, potentially, and again, because this is a moment that you've got some energy around you that you recognize, and this is the hard part. There's almost a point of masculine recognizing that something about the energy that they're going towards right now for advice, for support, is potentially trying to bring to light towards them right now something about themselves that they may not necessarily see, or that you may not necessarily feel inclined to receive. And depending on how you're receiving it right now is either, again, a moment that feels either like a point of self-assessment, self-recognition, seeing that the fact that there's some kind of energy around you right now that you've turned to support is trying to shine this light for you. To see this is almost this point that we are seeing that the masculine, this is either going to feel like a moment of personal understanding, like an epiphany moment, like a breakthrough moment, because it's not just the fact that you're feeling something or that an energy of a feminine tried to tell you this or show you this, but now it's the same lesson that the energy around you might be continually confirming or affirming, almost saying to you, well, you know, I'm kind of like almost like masculine. This could even be a moment where masculine brought something forward, that something was occurring, and masculine not necessarily being like almost being surprised that the energy that they're bringing towards them on that is like, well, I can kind of understand why they would feel like that. I can kind of understand why that would happen. This is almost the feminine, like the energy, the healthy karmic energy around masculine, trying to show them this characteristic of the self that is either going to be feeling like a bit of a breakthrough, or it's going to feel like a point of rejection. It's going to feel like something that further isolates, because this is going to be a masculine energy that's potentially feeling like if this is an amplification on that persecution path, being like, nobody's against me. I mean, nobody's with me. Nobody understands me. Nobody ever gets me. I'm on my own. This is something everybody is out, like there's nobody on my side, right? More of that continuation of the childish, the child energy coming into play, that persecution narrative. Now, continuing to get clarification on these cards, right? And again, but that even now is becoming a little hard, because there's almost an observation point in recognizing that the energy that's potentially bringing something forward to masculine right now, they recognize and know cares about them. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Sun card in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Two cards to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with our Star card in combination with our Knight of Cups in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy right now that's working in divine union and partnership. This is that moment that, again, we're seeing that's like kind of leading to this like space or place of like, even in divine union right now, there's something here that's really expressing itself as like some point that needs to be like navigated in relation to, and I have to stress this, masculine energy right now is moving through a space or state where it's very hard, because we see here that they see the feminine energy in this space or state of being very, very vulnerable, being very open. And at the same time, effectively not necessarily knowing how to effectively help a feminine, because this is a feminine energy that's being very vulnerable and open right now about their own sense of sadness or their own sense of exhaustion. And for the masculine energy right now that's experiencing this, this is almost creating a point of frustration in divine union and partnership right now, because this is almost a moment that like the masculine energy feels like there's not much they can do to help the feminine energy in this modality or in this vibration. It's almost this moment of basically saying to the feminine, like, you know, I can't help you with that feeling of emotional support, because this is masculine almost saying to feminine, me telling you like how much I care about you can only go so far. You need to care about you too. You need to have that sense of positivity. You need to have that sense of optimism. Feminine energy right now in divine union with masculine, even now this could be feeling like something that feels a bit difficult, because again, almost emotionally, this is that moment of recognizing that there's something here that feels like more of an internal circumstance or situation. Though I will say, there is something to be spoken to here about a feminine energy potentially even in divine union and partnership right now that may feel that they need to get that sense of emotional affirmation from the masculine. But the problem that's potentially happening here is that the feminine energy is almost in a state or space where they're not necessarily open to asking for it. Feminine energy isn't like in a space or state where they're going to be like, can you just like positively affirm me or give me that emotional, like that's emotional support. Feminine's almost like moving right now in divine union in terms of feeling a little bit more like it's isolated. Feminine's almost like recognizing here that it's feeling a little more isolated right now. And this could also be the fact that we saw a little bit of that potential trigger point getting hit with some of the energy, even in divine union and partnership. It's not, everything isn't always perfect in the garden. You know, like it's almost like this moment that we're potentially seeing right now, wherein, like, feminine has to work on being able to really communicate and express their needs at this time, is what we're really seeing. Now, masculine energy, there could be a moment right now that's making it, you're almost in this space. I have to say, masculine energy is going through this rare moment, this moment right now, where there's an emotional overwhelm that's happening. And it's almost like marked with like this sense of like, sadness or frustration, because there's almost something here of the masculine feeling like there's something that they can't communicate to feminine right now. There's something about their own emotional expression that they feel like, it's almost like a masculine having a feeling towards feminine right now, which is almost like, I can't put into words what I feel for you. And so for a lot of the masculine energy right now, it's that emotional overwhelm that's creating that sense of like anxiety, because it's like masculine just feels that overwhelm of emotionality, and it almost feels exhaustive to the point that it's like a little overwhelming. But in divine union and partnership right now, this is kind of like the best worst problem. I have to say, it's almost like the best worst problem. Like someone being like, I care about you so much is like the best worst problem, right? Masculine and feminine energy that is working in divine union and partnership. And this is almost why we see this energy is now like has other energy coming towards them, being like, can you please help me? Like, what's going on? Like, I've had like, this is why we see other masculines going towards energy like this, being like, how do you guys do this? Like, masculine and feminine energy that are working on divine union and partnership at this time. This is that moment that, again, it's going to feel like a deepening of the divine union energy. It's going to feel like a deepening, because what are we seeing here? This is a masculine energy that if they took their fear, if they took their anxiety, if they brought this forward towards the feminine, this is almost this moment that we are recognizing and seeing that the masculine and the feminine energy at this time are almost moving through this modality wherein we are seeing that the feminine energy at this time is navigating a point where they are recognizing that the masculine is feeling like they're experiencing that point of emotional overwhelm. It's creating that state or that space of just pouring in all their love, all their energy, because this is the masculine energy that is literally almost showing the feminine right now of coming into divine union. They're communicating not just the nice things, they're communicating the difficult things. And for feminine, that is the point of recognizing that there's divine union here, because there's a masculine that's willing to come towards them when things are difficult, not just when things are easy. That is the amplification point of feminine almost saying to masculine, like feminine almost saying to masculine and divine, trying to come into divine union right now, I want you to bring all of it to me. Not just the good parts. Don't just show me the nice parts of you. Show me every part of you. I'm here to receive it. So long as you don't direct it at me. That's literally what we see the feminine is going through right now. And again, holding that point of stoicism, maintaining their boundaries. A feminine saying, as long as it's not coming through as you effectively like projecting it outwards, as long as you're not projecting it outwards, as long as you're not pointing that finger, as long as you're not bringing that into the modality of saying that I am the source of the problem, feminine's like, I am always receptive to whatever you bring forth to me. Masculine and feminine, though, if they're moving into if this is a moment of moving away from partnership, this is potentially a masculine. There could be some masculine energy here that's almost saying to feminine. And this is, again, if this is a partnership scenario that's happening here, this could be some kind of separation moment that does feel like a temporary separation because someone is articulating it as such. This could be a masculine energy that might be essentially saying to some feminine energy right now, what I'm experiencing right now, I realize is a me problem. I realize is a problem within my own self. And this is, again, masculine energy almost saying, give me time. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation. Again, if this is feminine in separation right now, this is a feminine energy that's feeling a lot of vulnerability at this time. But this is, again, a feminine energy that is feeling that burning heart energy that we saw yesterday, standing in that point of openness, of vulnerability, but being confident in this modality, not running back towards masculine, just allowing themselves to inhabit this space, because what they're really experiencing right now is a moment that potentially feels very overwhelming. Because again, it's not the fact that the feminine doesn't see some expression of love around them right now. If anything, this is a feminine that's feeling the cross. They're feeling the cross of the fact that in one area or in some situations right now in their life, they're feeling that expansion of care, of support. It's all amplifying that the feminine should stay solid and stoic where they are, that there is a space here where they can be seen and supported and cared for, particularly around the healthy karmic energy. At the same time, it is amplifying the fact that the feminine is feeling some of that wound of the space and place that they would desire that same energy from and not receiving it. Masculine, if you are in separation right now, this could be a moment that you're having a point of recognition. Because again, and it's either going to come through one or two different modalities right now. This is either a masculine right now. And again, what are we seeing with this karmic? Because this is some masculine energy right now that if in separation ran to some healthy karmic energy to try to get some insight or try to get some support. This is almost feminine energy potentially articulating to masculine and trying to show the masculine energy some feminine perspective on this. This is almost feminine energy, masculine looking again and getting some perspective from feminine right now on this. That again is a feminine energy that almost like feels like it doesn't have anything to lose in being open to masculine in this way. Which is why we see that the masculine energy may be having a hard time receiving it. Because this is almost a feminine energy that they realize doesn't have any horse in this race to a certain extent. Or this is a masculine energy right now that is potentially, again, if in separation, recognizing their own inability to communicate their emotionality towards the space and place where they most want to. So again, the healing is coming regardless of whether you're where you are on this cycle. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Sun card in combination with our Page of Swords in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? We've got here our Two of Pentacles in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now that is in divine union or partnership. What we are effectively seeing at this time is a moment that we are observing wherein it's not that everything is perfect. We see here masculine and feminine energy. You're going through some difficulties. You're going through some challenges. You're going through some hurdles. Masculine in particular, like right now, there could be a moment that is feeling like this is coming through as masculine, feeling like a little uncertain about where to put their energy today. Feminine, this could be feeling some moment right now of seeing a masculine energy in this vibration. Having that point right now in terms of like moving into a space or place of like really like narrowing your choices, like coming out of anything again that feels like it is too overwhelming is going to be very important at this time. Because what we're effectively seeing is, again, for feminine, this is more of a problem because feminine is kind of always going through that feeling of having way too much to do right now. And this is masculine in partnership being like looking for something to do. And this is feminine being like again, it could almost create some points right now of frustration as it relates to even the partner energies right now. Masculine and feminine energy that are trying to come into divine union. This is this moment that we're potentially seeing where this is that moment that the partnership, this is why it's a divine union, because it's almost the fact that you're recognizing that regardless of how you feel right now, the sanctity of the union, of the partnership, is what you are working to preserve. This is the masculine and feminine going through a moment where it's not easy. But again, masculine's almost learning a moment right now and recognizing that being in divine union doesn't mean that they need to feel completely confident every moment. It's more about the fact of having this be a point of personal choice. Having this be a point of personal choice right now. And this is the masculine that is articulating that this is the choice that they're choosing to make, even in the face of situations and circumstances that may feel difficult. Feminine, you're seeing a masculine that during a moment that is hard, it's not that things are easy, it's that it's hard, This is masculine energy that is effectively affirming that this is a choice that they're moving forward on at this time. And this is also a moment that we are recognizing that this is a masculine energy. The feminine is feeling the confidence in going forward with right now, because this is a masculine that's choosing the divine union over anything. Now, masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, what we are effectively identifying at this time is a moment of observation as it relates to the fact that in divine, like coming into this point of recognizing the power and importance of divine union at this time, is effectively a moment that we're seeing for the energy right now in separation. Feminine is holding firm on their choice. Feminine is recognizing, again, feminine energy is looking at some spaces or places of feeling like there's masculine energy that wasn't able to come forward in this way or in this degree. And this is feminine energy that's almost feeling the weight of saying there isn't almost a choice to be made. It's almost like the fact that the masculine made the choice. Feminine is almost feeling the sense of overwhelm and recognizing, and almost in a way being like, this wasn't even a choice I would choose. This is something that they chose. And feminine's almost just confirming and affirming that choice and saying, I'm continuing to go forward from this point. Masculine energy in separation right now, there is a point of optics right now as it relates to feminine energy and making a choice. There's a moment right now, again, masculine, if you're in separation right now, you may be feeling this point of recognition, wherein, again, one of the reasons you may find yourself in separation right now is because you felt like you were trying to leave your options open to a certain degree. And this is effectively a moment that we are identifying and articulating upon, wherein we see that this is a masculine energy right now that is, if you're in separation, you are choosing, you are now deciding to yourself what it is that you're trying to go forward with at this point. What is that going to look like? Because this is almost feeling like a point of, again, having to navigate some moments where you may feel like you were keeping your options open prior to this point. And now this is that moment about like feeling like it is coming into a space or place of really like narrowing down that path, deciding what that's going to look like, making that choice going forward. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Page of Swords in combination with our Six of Cups. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Ten of Swords. Now, for masculine and feminine energy, in this modality, what we're effectively seeing, even for the energy right now that's in divine union or divine partnership, there is this moment that we are effectively recognizing that feels like this is a point of allowing for some closure on situations and circumstances that feel like they're not necessarily moving you in the direction that you would ideally desire at this time. Masculine and feminine energy right now in divine union and partnership, there is almost this moment or this point of observation that we are effectively seeing that is putting a lot of care and consideration into circumstances and situations at this time. For masculine and feminine in partnership right now, a lot of this is just feeling like this need to close out some cycles, this need to like allow some things to be like moved away from that don't feel like they're necessarily creating this sense of empowerment, but almost like creating this point of exhaustion. For masculine energy right now, this is almost like coming into a state or space of, again, having a lot of support coming to the surface here, building this sense of the energy of the healthy karmic partnerships that you're moving towards at this time. For feminine, this is also something that you're feeling. And one of the things that we're, again, potentially seeing at this time is some feeling of those partnered energies, potentially even having to navigate new other energy coming towards them right now, trying to get points of advice specifically because they're trying to close cycles, right? And this is where we see that this almost feels like that circle coming to a point of completion, because there's almost a moment right now of masculine and feminine recognizing that they are now the source of support for energy when they realize that someone is in need in this capacity, is in a space or place where they need that sort of closure. This is almost masculine and feminine feeling that sense of being able to look at things and situations right now and say, where can we put our energy right now to help other energy reach this same point? We love to see this right now because this is, again, almost that upgrade that we're seeing even in the divine union energy as it relates to their own perception around circumstances or situations. Having that point of observation in trying to help other energy close out cycles so that they can continue forward in a point of positivity going forward. Masculine and feminine energy in coming into partnership right now. What we are effectively identifying at this time has to do with the fact that we are recognizing that in this modality, there is a point that is effectively showing. And it's going to feel for masculine, if coming into divine union right now, like there is a moment that you feel like it's almost like your old self is gone. Like this is like the end of a transformation moment. Because this is almost a masculine energy that's recognizing, if coming into divine union, that you are abandoning this perception, this single-minded optics, this looking at things only from one perception, but instead having that like mutability in perception, in identifying and recognizing and allowing oneself to feel like you can understand the perspective of the other person. It's almost that point right now of coming into divine union, in recognizing that you'll never be kind of thinking for one anymore. It's almost like you'll be thinking for two. It's like you're recognizing that, you're understanding that, and this is that ego, the ending of that egoic journey, because now it's that moment that becomes a point of companion. But again, an energy that doesn't feel like companion, it feels like mutability. It feels like that mutual give and take that is adjusting your own optics away from that internal singular journey into one that is more mindful of the energy around you, as opposed to just the single journey. Masculine and feminine that are in separation right now, this is that moment of, again, this is why the feminine energy is allowing the cycles to close out right now around any energy that is not in this modality of optics. Because what we are effectively identifying at this time is the fact that we are seeing that for the energy that's in this modality, this is a moment that we are effectively observing, wherein we are seeing that masculine and feminine, like feminine in separation right now, is basically saying, I'm moving towards the energy that feels like it is supportive to me. I am letting go of energy that feels like it is only on their own journey. They're only on their personal journey. They're not on a space or place where they think about the whole energy of us together, so much as they think particularly only from the optics of the self. This is feminine energy rejecting that energy and just moving away from it. And it feels like a point of grief. It feels like a closure point, because this is a feminine energy that's effectively moving away from an energy and almost feeling like they can't help the energy in that modality, but instead moving towards energy that feels like it understands the value and importance of working towards the collective energy, working towards supporting that collective energy, keeping that focus there. Continuing to get clarification on this right now for the masculine energy right now that is in separation. This is a bit of that potential like ego break. It's that change. It's that point right now that's almost saying to yourself, it's that point of recognition in terms of feeling like some way that you are moving forward right now. And I have to stress, for some of the energy right now in separation, it's the fact that, and this could be feeling like it is more forced, which is what is so difficult right now. Because again, it is almost a moment of observation, masculine, where it's like your own perception of the self has shifted. And again, it may even be being amplified right now by some of the energy around you right now, this healthy karmic energy that's showing this to you about yourself. It's almost this moment in potentially recognizing this aspect or this situation or circumstance from what it is. And it's almost like the fact that someone has shown it to you, that it doesn't even matter at this point, because now you can't necessarily unsee it. And either way right now, that's coming through as a point of having some point of recognition on thinking now in a more broad perspective, rather than a focusing on the singular journey. Okay? Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Six of Cups in combination with our Three of Cups in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Queen of Cups energy. Masculine and feminine energy right now that are working in divine union and partnership. This is the power of the divine union energy. This is that moment that we are effectively recognizing. This is that moment that we are effectively seeing. This is that moment that we are really observing wherein we see that the divine union energy is one that like creates that system of allowing for that mutual feeling of support. And again, it's almost like continual confirmation of not necessarily having any further interest in outside energy to a certain extent, because it's almost like, again, it's like the battery of the partnership is one that provides each with everything that they need. Feminine, masculine feels like they're getting immediate emotional support from the feminine. Feminine, you are getting almost like immediate affirmation from the masculine here. And that is also like feeding back into your own emotional support system. And there's almost a feeling of, again, it feeling like a little bit of a closed system, like not necessarily needing outside energy, feeling like you have everything that you need. And interestingly enough, potentially having a lot of energy reaching towards you at this time, but almost like coming in from a state or space where, again, it's more like you kind of like trying to lend guidance, trying to lend insight, but also just kind of recognizing that there's something here about the outside energy that doesn't necessarily understand what it is that you've created in the partnership. And that's why it almost creates a state or space that's like very protective of that energy, but also like not necessarily like letting a lot of energy too close to it, because it's almost this moment of being like, if you don't understand what we have together, I'm not really inclined to like clarify it. Or even a moment right now that we're potentially seeing that it's almost like this amplification of other energies trying to come towards you and be like, how are you guys doing this? So again, this is either coming from outside energy coming in and being like, can I please have some notes? Or outside energy coming in and being like, oh, you know, I don't understand this to a certain extent. Now, masculine and feminine energy, but again, almost that point of contentment, because like the energy isn't one where it's like the outside forces don't necessarily have a context or an adjustment point on the partnership itself because of the sanctity of the union energy itself. Masculine and feminine energy that is trying to come into divine union. This is that moment that, again, this is the supportive, this is like the sound, this is the sound of an engine starting up, because this is a moment right now where, again, even though something is difficult, there's a moment of coming together, falling together instead of falling apart. It is that moment that we are effectively observing right now that is creating this space or this state wherein we are recognizing that the energies are effectively in a modality right now, wherein we see that, again, it is the confirmation of the choice that you're making in the other person, even through a difficulty, that is amplifying the fact that this is moving towards divine union. Why? Because this is a moment where masculine was going through something difficult and didn't take that difficulty point outside the partnership. They brought it back within. Masculine didn't run from the union. They went back towards the union to navigate what needs to be corrected in the union. Feminine is becoming the emotional support system for the masculine, which is what is supposed to happen here. And feminine in kind is, again, it coming into a space or place of seeing a masculine that is making the feminine energy the priority here, allowing that to be the space or state. And that is what is further bringing these energies back into divine union. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now is the point that we see that this is that moment that feminine energy right now is further holding that sense of stoicism, holding that sense of support, creating that self-sufficient system in terms of, again, not acting on their emotions, but observing their emotions and holding firm with the support of the energy around them right now. And more than anything, it's not leading to a state or space of feminine really kind of seeking out a lot of the energy that may be approaching them at this time, but rather a moment that we are potentially observing in this moment, wherein we are seeing that feminine energy is almost at this space or state of, again, feminine's, again, in this moment where they're not necessarily moving towards partnership. Feminine's concentrating on coming back into emotional balance in a moment that they're feeling very rocky, and almost saying to themselves, I will know, I will feel when the energy's there, it's there. When the energy's right, it's right. Feminine's almost saying that the lesson that they learned from that past experience is saying, almost articulating, I know what healthy energy looks like, and I know what to avoid going forward. Masculine and feminine energy that are trying to come in like that, and masculine energy in separation right now, this is going to feel much more difficult, because the masculine energy in separation at this time, what we are potentially seeing at this time, is this moment that, again, you're starting to lose that. Remember that interest? We saw this desire or this need to leave one's options open. We are now seeing that that's kind of like evaporating. It's kind of fading. It's almost this point of kind of saying to yourself, like, what's the point? Because the masculine energy is now not looking so much as delight as being the source of being able to move forward right now. You're starting to think in separation more about legacy. You're starting to think more about, again, observing the karmic energies around you right now, thinking about legacy, and starting to ask yourself, what type of energy do you want to kind of have around you as you continue forward to create a legacy for yourself? So this is almost, again, even if in separation right now, this is a very beautiful harmonic shift that we see is occurring for energy of masculine in separation, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our star energy in combination with our Knight of Cups, in combination with our Two of Pentacles in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Fool card in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now that's moving in divine union, that's moving in divine partnership. What we effectively see that is occurring right now is this moment wherein we are identifying that, again, even in divine union and partnership right now, there is a moment of navigating forward with a lot of that sense of like understanding. The partnership itself, what's so valuable and important in the partnership energy right now, is almost this point of observation in recognizing what it is that you're truly trying to focus on going forward. For feminine right now, this is almost a moment, if in divine union and divine partnership, that we see a lot of that sense. A lot of that sense that's coming through on this is, again, almost navigating with the masculine energy, what you need to change and adjust going forward, that's going to allow things to create that further point of easement. And what's so lovely about this right now, because I have to point out that we're almost seeing, there is a point here of the feminine going through a moment right now in divine union and partnership of effectively trying to say to masculine, trying in a way, this is almost masculine, getting insight for the feminine to help narrow that choice, to help guide that path, to kind of like look at something right now and say, like, what direction do we want to move into at this time? Because we see here to a certain extent that there's a feminine energy. This is a lot of strong, powerful feminine energy right now in divine union and partnership. Masculine, even in divine union and partnership right now, they're almost like looking to the feminine to help guide the path. This is almost like the masculine saying, help me know which way to go. And especially in the relation to emotionality right now. This is masculine energy basically saying to feminine, like, the things I feel for you, like, they're so overwhelming. They're so overwhelming. I don't know where to put them. Can you give me that insight on how I can support you at this time? Because this is almost a masculine energy that's feeling such a strong vibration of feminine right now in divine union and divine partnership, that to see feminine energy in a point of pain or difficulty is almost creating a space. It's almost like masculine's immediately reflecting it. Like, there's no delay. These are energies that are like feeling the same thing. But masculine being like, I need you to tell me how I can help you. How can I best support you at this time? And this is feminine, like, effectively taking that lead, taking the reins, if you will. Because you remember, one of the things that we saw that was so beautiful over the last few days with the energy and partnership was masculine. Again, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Recognizing that if they're doing their job well enough, if things are going well, this is not a masculine energy that needs to like hold the reins on things. This is a masculine energy that can let go of the reins and know that the partnership is going to continue forward in the same direction that they're sending it. Now, masculine and feminine, you're potentially seeing this right now on the part of the masculine, and you're potentially trying to take that role and trying in terms of like advocating and articulating what your needs are at this time. Almost recognizing that this is a masculine energy that, and I have to stress, this is coming through right now as masculine energy that needs to feel needed. Okay? Masculine and feminine energy right now that is in divine union or working into divine union. This is that moment. Masculine, feminine and masculine trying to come to partnership. You're potentially seeing this right now. There's something about what occurred right now that caused some of this fracture point that has to do with the amplification of masculine feeling like they need to feel needed. And this could potentially even feel like a masculine trying to articulate to the feminine in some way that something that the feminine brought to them made them feel like they weren't needed. This is feminine potentially amplifying to masculine right now if trying to come in to partnership and saying and indicating, you are all I need. You are my choice. That's what's moving them into divine union. Now, masculine and feminine that are in separation right now is, again, masculine and feminine in separation is a moment that, again, feminine right now is moving in this vibration right now of trying to be their most vulnerable, full, authentic sense of self. It's not that that is easy. It's not that that is easy, but we see here that feminine is almost maintaining that point of, again, finding that point of stoicism in the self that is so important and so valuable, because what we're really identifying in this moment is a feminine that is effectively saying that to a certain extent, their job is only to move forward. Their job is only to move forward. Feminine's almost saying, again, even as they're bearing a lot of this pain that they're potentially carrying right now, they're basically saying to themselves, my job is only to continue forward with the lessons that I have learned, with what I know, being able to move in that space or place, making these choices, and recognizing that, again, a good energy for feminine, an energy that supports feminine, is not a masculine that's going to make the feminine feel like an option. It's going to articulate to feminine that they are the priority. Masculine and feminine energy right now. And this is what the feminine's going. This is how the feminine's healing from any of this energy of a masculine that to a certain extent, again, feminine's looking at it as a point of saying they were not ready because it's the masculine energy that's not showing an ability to open up in this emotional capacity. Masculine energy in separation right now, there is a moment that, again, even if you are in a point of separation, we are effectively seeing at this time that there is a moment of observation that is occurring right now, wherein masculine, you are feeling a point of uncertainty because, again, there's potentially a manifestation of feminine that you desire to move towards right now. But again, you are feeling that level or degree of not being able to come towards that energy because, again, there's something about whether that energy would be receptive to you at this time. Given the fact that, again, this is either masculine energy that is seeking this out now, right? This is that type of energy where masculine is, again, now with their focus right now on legacy, on what they're trying to build. This is now masculine energy trying to find the energy of the energy that's going to embody that role right now. And again, for some of the masculine energy right now, this is a masculine energy seeing some energy of the past that they're feeling that desire or need to go back towards. Or this is masculine energy right now looking towards the energy of the future, looking to find this for themselves right now. And this is that moment that we're effectively seeing right now for the masculine energy that, again, if in separation, there is a very valuable lesson here that's potentially coming through because this is a masculine energy that's potentially recognizing right now that something about the past experience is informing on the present. Masculine seeing their own weakness and not opening up from an emotional level right now was almost an articulation to the feminine that they were not necessarily choosing the feminine above all. Recognizing that lesson is now what masculine can take forward at this time to help them, regardless of whether this is going back to a manifestation of feminine that they desire this for right now or going forward into new manifestations that they're seeking, to help them have that point of correction for themselves in terms of building that healthy karmic partnership that they're hoping to create. For continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Two of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Ten of Swords. Heavy energy today. Clarification coming through right now with our Nine of Wands in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now that is moving right now through, again, having a point of, if in partnership, this is going to feel, if in partnership, what we're effectively seeing right now, even for masculine and feminine energy, there's a point of observation that we're effectively seeing in relation to having some point of recognition in terms of what you need to adjust and modify going forward. Masculine and feminine energy right now in divine union and partnership, there is this point that we're seeing that is like, it's almost an observation right now of some cycles that are effectively closing around you, but new ones that are opening in the process. This is really interesting because we're seeing here that the divine union energy, this is that expansion, this is that closure point and this expansion point all at once. This is the beauty and the significance and the power of the divine union energy. It's because it almost feels like while in divine union and partnership, when one door closes, another opens. It's not necessarily something that, it's like that point right now that feels like it is a continuation moment, because it's not necessarily like this feeling like anything effectively ends. It's more like as one thing ends, something else begins. It's like creating this like beautiful harmonic battery, and it feels less and less like, again, something that feels like you're making like, and again, this is like the difference. It's like, it's not a termination point. It's almost like creating a state or space that we're effectively seeing right now that almost like identifies the fact that we're recognizing that for the divine union energies, that this feels like when one door closes, another opens. It's allowing for that further continuation. For masculine and feminine energy right now, that is moving into divine union and partnership, what we're effectively seeing at this point is this point of recognition or this point of observation, wherein we are seeing that if in divine union right now, or trying to come into divine union, this is a point of observing that some of the choices that you're making right now are effectively, again, helping you either move into divine union, or this is that closure point. This is that moment of effectively identifying that this is going to be like the separation point that leads you back into separation, or it's going to lead to that point of expansion, or it's going to lead to that point of like recognition of new beginnings. For masculine and feminine right now, this is all about the choices that you're potentially seeing if trying to come into partnership at this moment, because what we're really identifying at this time is the fact that we are seeing here that this is an energy that there's a point of recognition as to whether you feel like this is going to create an opportunity of allowing for the partnership to occur. And for both energies right now, this is going to feel like a cycle that is completing just as a new one is opening. Like it's going to feel like a point. It's no longer a plateau. It feels like you're climbing up. You're continuing further forward. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now that is moving in separation. This is that moment that, again, for feminine, this is the choice is almost clear. For feminine, this is almost feeling like the choice is ahead of you. It's this point of understanding and recognition and feeling you are letting one chapter close so that you can move forward in that sense of peace. And feminine right now is going through clearing this karmic partnership to such an extent that they just feel willing and ready and able to move forward in this capacity. While for masculine energy in this modality or in this vibration right now, what we're effectively seeing is this is a moment that we are identifying that you yourself are coming into a space or place wherein you feel like you need to make a choice. You're potentially feeling like some part of your old life is over. This is almost feeling like a moment of feeling like something has reached a conclusion point. But again, it isn't necessarily feeling like a bad thing, because we're almost seeing here that for masculine energy, this is kind of finally recognizing something that you might not have seen before, that you are now moving towards with a lot of intentionality. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 10 of Swords in combination with our Queen of Cups. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Ace of Swords, and we love to see this. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is moving into, again, deep, that are in divine union, what we are effectively seeing here is a moment that we are recognizing that, again, the divine union energy is one that feels like it is creating a space or place of allowing for new beginnings. It is allowing a space of new beginnings, new opportunities. Feminine energy specifically right now, what we're effectively recognizing and identifying is a point of allowing oneself a sense of, again, It is the point, the power and strength of the partnership itself that is allowing feminine energy to feel that sense of allowing things to come to points of closure around them right now. For the feminine energy in this moment, what's nice around this is even as certain things come to a point of closure, it's not necessarily feeling like a debilitating moment right now, because what we're really seeing here for feminine energy in this modality is a point of recognizing their own sense of emotional balance. Feminine energy is almost holding this right now and recognizing that the emotional balance is the point of success. It is the point of victory. It is what they're effectively navigating towards right now. And that is that sense of feminine feeling the support of the divine union even as they proceed forward from this point. While for masculine energy right now, that is moving into that space or place of continuing in the divine union. Again, masculine energy is also feeling this. This is a masculine energy that, again, almost feels to a certain extent that they can conquer anything. Nothing is not available to them, because as long as they have that supportive energy around them of the feminine, they feel like they always have that point of victory just on the sense, because the partnership itself is the point of victory. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now that is moving into divine union and partnership. This is, again, a bit of that make or break point that we're seeing, because we are basically identifying, again, a moment right now that for masculine and feminine trying to come into divine union, this is either going to feel like the closing out of the cycle or the deepening of the commitment. Because masculine, you're potentially recognizing right now that something about your old life is completely transitioning, is completely transforming, it's completely changing. Specifically, because we identify here in this moment that you are potentially recognizing that moving towards feminine in this capacity, opening up towards feminine, allowing oneself to come into balance with feminine energy in this modality and in this way is the point of victory. That is now effectively like that point that's allowing you to move into divine union right now, because again, it's almost like allowing any cycles that are necessary to close around you, because the focus is effectively on this energy. Masculine, and that is in separation right now, this is potentially what you're trying to navigate towards now. And again, even if you are in separation at this moment, this is potentially going to feel like a little bit of that sense of closure about those old cycles, because now this is a masculine energy. If you're in separation right now, this is a point that we're potentially seeing that you are holding this moment in recognizing the value and the desire to have that supportive feminine energy around you. And again, this is either a masculine energy right now that is moving towards a feminine in this capacity, is seeing this right now and recognizing the personal hurdles that have to be overcome to be able to navigate towards this energy in this way, but feeling like the victory point is understanding this at this time. Or this is a moment right now, if again, this is masculine wanting to move forward right now, feeling that renewed sense of understanding, having built that sense of observation, gotten the point of understanding, that recognition is now allowing them to close out a cycle right now as they want to move right now to building an emotional connection with the feminine that will allow for that sense of deepened victory going forward. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Fool card in its reversal in combination with our Nine of Wands in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Seven of Pentacles. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now that are in divine union or in divine partnership. What we're effectively seeing here is, again, a moment that is allowing for a point of continual growth. It is allowing for a point of continual expansion. It is a moment that we're effectively identifying that this pathway forward that you're seeing, this sense of, again, the deepening of the partnership, the deepening of the understanding, the deepening of the commitment. It isn't one that feels like it is limiting. It feels like it is expanding to you. It's creating those spaces and places in divine union that, again, are knocking down walls. They're creating spaces. It's like your emotional and your own spiritual space feels like it is growing, and it is more about what you're creating, what you're putting your time and energy to. A lot of potential planning right now as you continue forward in this way. Masculine and feminine energy trying to come into this modality right now, working to come into divine union. What we are effectively identifying at this time is, again, a moment of observation wherein we are seeing that for the energy trying to come into divine union at this time, this is that expansion process. This is that modality of understanding. And this is a moment that, again, you're almost not seeing the part of the partnership feeling like it is a confining space. It feels like it is an ever expanding space. You're moving into divine union here. And now you're starting to set your sights on where you're going to grow and how you're going to grow going forward. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. This is the feminine energy continuing forward on this progressive journey. This is feminine energy to a certain extent right now that, again, is having this point of observation for themselves. Feminine energy that is not necessarily wanting to leave themselves. Again, feminine energy is effectively saying to themselves that it's not the fact that there isn't a connection with masculine that they feel is available. It's that it doesn't necessarily create the balance that they themselves are effectively seeking. This is a feminine energy that's almost like allowing that to be a moment of dropping that sense of uncertainty as to this path, because feminine energy feels like to a certain extent they're on it right now if in separation, because feminine is effectively saying to themselves that they're going to continue to grow in this capacity and allowing this to be a point of growth, because feminine is effectively feeling right now that, again, it's not the fact that the feminine is searching for masculine right now. It's more the fact of feminine building this sense of self for themselves right now, allowing this to be a moment of growing what they're growing for themselves in this moment, and feeling the certainty and the certitude that when the energy recognizes and sees what they're creating for themselves, it will find them. Masculine energy right now in separation, this is potentially a moment that we are seeing that, again, is adjusting your own landscape. It's breaking you out of your own sense of perspective, because some of this could be a moment right now of moving away from a movement of recognition point of feeling like you are doing something entirely for the self right now, but is that deepening understanding point that you're potentially taking forward with you at this time with a sense of care and concentration now. And this is the difference in the masculine journey going forward at this time. It's not one of exploration. It's coming through more as one of cultivation of what you are creating for yourself, on what you are growing. It is not the idea of leaving all of your options open, but more a sense of determination and conclusion and conclusiveness in terms of really asking what it is that you want to grow going forward. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Nine of Wands and its reversal in combination with our Ace of Swords. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Nine of Swords. Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is moving again into deepened partnership, that's moving into partnership right now. Or, I'm sorry, correction. The energy that is in divine union right now. What we're effectively seeing at this moment is a fact that for that energy, we are effectively observing right now that there is a point of seeing and understanding that it's not that things are perfect. We keep seeing this. It is not that things are perfect right now in the energy of divine union. But what we're effectively identifying at this time is a point of observation of, again, recognizing the hurdles that they're being experienced, that are being faced, making room, not letting them be a space or place of having to carry that grief internally, but more so allowing this to be a moment of opening up in this way, allowing this to be a point of shared, that shared feeling is like the shared burden of what you're experiencing is allowing for new possibility. It is allowing for new opportunities. It is allowing for that sense of victory as you go forward at this point. And it is feeling somewhat bittersweet to a certain extent, because again, it is that feeling of sharing mutual grief, but also recognizing that point of expansion on the way. Again, it is that feeling right now of divine union that we're potentially seeing, that like doors close, but new doors open at the same time. And that in itself is the point of vitality and victory. Masculine and feminine that are trying to come into divine union at this time, what we are effectively identifying is this moment of observation wherein we are recognizing that we see that for the energy right now that is coming into trying to come into divine union, this is that make or break point. This is either looking right now, and again, this is also the energy right now of the divine union, the energy that's coming towards each other. You are bearing each other's grief. You are holding space for each other's hurts. You are allowing that to be something that doesn't feel like it's an isolating moment. It is an expansive moment because you recognize that it is a shared sense of frustration. And that in itself is the victory point, because it's not the fact that you aren't going through a point of difficulty. It's the fact that you feel the collective energy of the partnership forming that's helping you feel supported even through situations or circumstances that may feel rocky. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is feminine bearing that grief within the self. This is the feminine energy bearing that grief within the self, but utilizing that as a point of expansion, because feminine energy is, again, they're not in a space or place where they're trying to go back to some energy right now. They're just effectively having that room right now, giving themselves a moment to like mourn what they feel is potentially lost, but feeling like this is also a moment that like they're letting something go so that they can free themselves to move forward completely. A lot of that continuation of that eclipse karmic healing process that we saw. Like hope is eternal. Masculine energy right now that is in separation, this is also a moment that potentially is, again, and now you're kind of mirroring the feminine energy in separation right now, because again, this is also masculine energy having a moment of frustration, feeling the weight of some accountability here, feeling the sense of frustration, but again, also holding on very strongly to the fact that, again, much like we said, hope is eternal. And this is allowing that sense of grief or frustration to guide you forward as well. Final card for today's spread between our Seven of Pentacles in combination with our Nine of Swords. May I please have one card to clarify? We love this. Okay, so I have to say, everybody needs to take a little care of themselves today. Because what we're effectively seeing to a certain extent, again, even for the energies right now that are in divine union and partnership, there is some moments of collective frustration that's potentially coming through. There's a moment right now of, again, requiring a lot of need for self-care at this time, that feeling of potential overwhelm. And it's also this feeling of really kind of pouring effort and energy in right now and not necessarily getting back what you desire in kind. But again, the energy right now that's in divine union and partnership, this isn't going to feel as difficult because, again, it is the strength and the support that you receive in the divine union partnership that like amplifies your own path going forward at this time. Masculine and feminine energy trying to come into partnership right now. This is that feeling of having to overgive to something, even if it's creating a hurdle of difficulty. The partnership is going to feel right now, if you're trying to come into divine union, that bittersweetness. It's not that it's easy, it's hard. There's something here that's challenging you to a certain extent, especially masculine, because again, it's not that you're feeling perfect in this. It's that there's some kind of grief that needs to be bared. There's some kind of weight, whatever feminine brought to you that you're trying to navigate. But also it's almost this moment of, again, feeling like you are committing yourself. It's like the feeling of commitment is that moment of effectively identifying and articulating that you are putting your time and effort and energy in that space and place, not because it's easy, but because you're in it for all of it. Feminine, you may be seeing this right now on the part of masculine if you're trying to come into partnership and divine union, and this is what's further amplifying your own commitment to it, because this is a masculine that's showing you now that they have grasped the fact that what you're growing doesn't mean navigating the immediate feeling. It's about being there through the hard parts to get to the good part. Masculine and feminine in separation right now, this is the masculine energy that is recommitting your efforts in what you're actually trying to grow for yourself at this time. And it really is going to feel like masculine energy is having a moment of getting much more practical as it relates to thinking about kind of the long-term path, what things look like ahead, and feeling that point of anxiety, or again, some of that feeling of having to play catch up to a certain extent in terms of viewing things from a different set of optics. And it is that moment that we're potentially seeing right now, that this is masculine almost recommitting to like their own process right now of allowing themselves to catch up in this way as it relates to actually committing to something and giving it the space and place to grow. Feminine energy in separation right now, this is that moment that, again, you're pouring this back into yourself right now. This is feminine energy pouring this into themselves right now, and energy that they feel is also respective in this, because this is feminine saying that they're looking for the energy that understands what they're trying to create instead of trying to teach it to them. Bottom of the deck on this reading, Two of Swords in its reversal. So masculine and feminine, thank you for the gift. that are moving right now in a space or place of making some points right now. A lot of this has to do with making some choices right now. A lot of these choices right now, they're not feeling like they're the most easy thing. But again, what we appreciate right now for the energy right now that's working through this is, again, having some points of observation and then making these choices going forward. Masculine and feminine right now, if in divine union or divine partnership, there's almost a point of observation that's potentially being reached in relation to recognizing and understanding like what steps you want to take going forward from this point. Masculine and feminine right now, is this moment right now of feeling some level or degree of like spiritual or emotional exhaustion that you're both potentially experiencing. But again, being able to make those choices right now is like feeling like that is in a way where some of that exhaustion point is, because it's almost like feeling like some of these feel like they're open-ended is like almost like what's creating some of that exhaustion point. Masculine and feminine energy trying to come into partnership right now. It's like, what do you do from here is the problem. It's feeling like you're kind of in a limbo state right now. Because again, masculine and feminine are effectively recognizing that they're deepening the commitment, but you're not necessarily either taking steps to see what that looks like, because masculine is kind of like holding back to a certain extent right now, and feminine is looking at masculine and being like, where do we go from here? Masculine and feminine energy that are in separation, it is those choices going forward that are allowing that point too, because both feminine right now is just trying to come into a space or state of self-care, and masculine is effectively in the same state right now. This is coming through right now as like a need to heal today, and almost like reserving action until after you come into that state of emotional balance. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing these messages. Just a reminder, if you'd like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way that you can book a private reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in these readings. And we will do this again tomorrow.